Well, if you guys thought you had to talk me off a ledge last week, don't worry about it. You don't have to do it this week. I am fully dove
I'm surprised
right off.
You're still here. I thought we were going to lose you, buddy.
Honestly, it's surprising to me too. We're going to get into why I'm in such a bad mood, and of course, a really big question I think the Bucs are going to have to answer over the last 6 weeks of the season on this episode of Bucs Bonus.
Live from the Stream Center in Tampa, Florida, the home of News Channel 8, your official Bucs station. This is Bucs Bonus on WFLA Now.
Welcome to the Stream Center here at News Channel 8, your official home of your Tampa Bay Buccaneers. As always, I am your host, Garrett Phillips, here with Bucs insider Aileen Hnatiuk and Scott Reynolds of Pewter Report. And guys, look, let's get right into it. It's been a bit of a rough couple of weeks here for Bucs fans, and it didn't get any better. As much as we had hoped that maybe that trip out to LA would be a nice return to form, well, unfortunately, instead we're coming away with that man right there, Baker Mayfield, in a sling, and some questions about the last half of the season.
Yeah, I mean, I think Aileen probably had the best trip out to LA.
LA
the Buccaneers
was nice.
Certainly didn't.
LA was nice. The game wasn't.
Yeah. Well,
yeah, the Buccaneers did not obviously have a good game. Didn't show up on offense or defense, and honestly, kind of expected that. I think we talked about that last week, that this was not going to be pretty, and it wasn't. And I think that the Rams are the best team that the Buccaneers have faced, and they're the hottest team right now. They've won 6 games in a row. And Tampa Bay was losing 2 in a row, turned into 3 in a row. So I'm not surprised by the outcome of the game. Obviously, the Baker Mayfield injury puts a little bit of question on this week's game against the Cardinals, because you look at that Cardinals team, they're 3-8. They're a mash unit themselves, full of injuries. They don't have their starting quarterback either. And Teddy Bridgewater, my guess is he'll be under center. I think Baker Mayfield probably comes back for that Saints game, Aileen. Mm-hmm. But they would be foolish, I think, to put him out there with the sprained shoulder right here. He needs a week off. And if they can't beat the Cardinals with Teddy Bridgewater, then what are they even doing?
Yeah, I think so too. If they lose to the Cardinals, then I won't be here, Garrett. But it's that the game was from start to finish, just awful.
They were outclassed.
It was embarrassing. First of all, SoFi is insane. That was my first time at SoFi Stadium, and that stadium is unbelievable.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like, they went into this game thinking they were going to lose. That's what I love about this locker room. It wasn't like after the game they felt like, they felt like they should have won. So I really do like their mindset, even though they didn't play well. They're mad that they didn't play well. So I like that they're not like, we got our tails beat and, we should have got our tails beat because we don't have so-and-so back or this or that. They're like, no, we got our tails beat, but we should have played better. So I like the mindset that they have. When Baker had thrown that last just bomb to who and where and why, and I felt like that was kind of the what is it, the straw that broke the camel's back, that just kind of, because all game he was nursing it a bit, but that was the last
that broke his don't want to say broke, it's not strained or sprained rather, his shoulder, which listen, I mean, as we've all mentioned here, this was a game that I think a lot of people expected to probably be a loss on the schedule. The Rams are probably the best team in not just the NFC, probably the NFL, right? And I think they'd be the Super Bowl favorites for sure. And so you would have liked to have seen them. I mean, at least with the Patriots and the Buffalo game, those were losses, but those were losses that felt like you had a chance, at least when the fourth quarter rolled around. That never really felt like this team had a chance to win in LA this week. And obviously the worst part about all of it is that you're coming away with a quarterback who has that injury to the non-throwing shoulder. There was some news that MRI earlier in the week, yesterday, that said there's a chance that maybe he can play this weekend. But I'm with you, Scott. I think that at this point, why play him? I mean, if you can't beat the Cardinals with Teddy Bridgewater at quarterback, then you're probably not a good enough team to really do much else in the season. You might as well protect the guy who might be very important, not only the rest of this year, but also in the next year.
Yeah, these are some winnable games coming up. You look at the next 3 opponents, they all have backup quarterbacks, right? You have Tyler Shuck, who is the Saints' backup. He's the starter now. You've got Kirk Cousins starting for the Falcons instead of Michael Penix, who's on injured reserve. So a 3-win Cardinals team, a 2-win Saints team, a 4-win Falcons team. You got to at least win 2 out of these 3, and it probably needs to start on Sunday to get off the schneid and have this fan base and this team feel good about itself again. So yeah, if you can't win with enough pieces around Teddy Bridgewater, I mean, this is what coaches are for, right? You're supposed to scheme your way to victory, and we've seen the Buccaneers this year handle business against teams that have losing records, right? They've beaten those teams. Matter of fact, Tampa Bay's got 5 losses this year. 3 of them are to division winners, including the Rams, the Patriots, and who's the other
Eagles.
one? Eagles, yeah, exactly. They haven't had a loss to a team that has lost more games than 4, right? So you're talking about 7 wins or more for all of the teams that have beaten the Buccaneers. So what I draw from that is the Buccaneers are a good team, but they're not a great team. Maybe if they had some players back, they were at more, full strength, like their roster was optimized with their star power that they're lacking right now at some positions. Maybe they could be a great team, right? We did see this team beat Seattle. They also beat the 49ers. Those are quality wins. But in the current state, they're a good team. But they're not going to be able to beat great teams until they get some of these guys back later in the season, Aileen. But in the meantime, they got to take care of business and continue to win against these teams that should provide them winnable opportunities.
Yeah, they'll obviously have Bucky Irving back, right? He's expected to be back, so that'll be huge, especially if Teddy Bridgewater is in. You're going to want to run the ball much, but the way that he played in the Rams game, I mean, what was he? 8 of 15, 62 yards, no touchdowns, but also no interceptions. So that's great too. And his style is different than Baker's, so you can't really expect him to go in there and be incredible. So if he plays, hopefully he gets a ton of reps in this week, and
we'll need him,
right? And get familiar with the ones.
Not to draw. Go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say, Garrett, real quick. The thing is they have to go into this game plan saying Teddy's going to be the guy because he needs all the reps in practice. You can't say, all right, well, we're going to try Baker, because then what happens is if Baker Mayfield ends up playing and hurting that shoulder again in the first quarter, then Teddy Bridgewater comes in, ultimately, and then doesn't have those reps in practice. So he needs those reps with the offensive line, with the play calls, with the receivers. So just shelve Baker for this week. Even if he wants to play, you're the head coach. You shut him down and say, we'll see about next week against the Saints, but get Teddy Bridgewater ready for this week.
And I'm sure that conversation is not exactly fun for Bowles too. Like, how fiery Baker is. And if he says like he's going to do it, and I think he's mentioned to me before, sometimes they agree mostly on everything. And I can't imagine Baker saying, yeah, okay, I won't play, like, even though like I can, but if you're hurt and you go in there and you're making those stupid mistakes, like you're not exactly helping your team. So
that's right.
Yeah, I would.
And I was going to say,
out if I was him.
Not to draw a comparison to Teddy Bridgewater and Shedeur Sanders, for example, but we saw Sanders go into that game 2 weeks ago in Cleveland and had what I would consider a forgettable performance.
Awful.
And then, this past week having a full week of reps to actually get time with the starters and know what the game plan is. They won the game, and he didn't play the best in the world, but that kind of performance, I think that you saw out of Sanders last week with the Browns, is what you would hope to try and get from a Teddy Bridgewater, one of your backup quarterbacks, especially against a team like Arizona when they're not having the greatest season. You should theoretically be able to win this game, no matter who's at quarterback. And so I think that you guys are both right. Obviously, Teddy needs to get all of the reps, and they need to just tell Baker, get ready for New Orleans. If Baker is ready for New Orleans, right? We looked at the back half of this schedule. We got the Saints, the Falcons, talked about maybe Carolina. I guess the 2 games against Carolina are probably the toughest games left on the schedule. Miami is a Jekyll and Hyde team, could get a good Miami team, but really you only have 2 games that should theoretically be a toss-up or even tough matchups for you. You're going to learn a lot about this Bucs team in the next 6 weeks, because they should be favored and they should win all of these games. And if they do not, well, I think that tells you everything you need to know. I mean, I've got the question here posed on the lower third: contenders or pretenders? Who are your real Buccaneers? And we're going to find out here in these past 6 weeks.
Yeah, they're going to tell us, because you've got the division's there for the taking. with the Buccaneers loss in LA. They didn't lose any ground because the Panthers lost in San Francisco. So they still have that half-game lead over Carolina. And they're going to face the Panthers twice. You have to at least split there. And if you do lose one of those games, maybe it's at Carolina, then you're going to have to run the table and win the other ones, right? There's still a possibility to get to 11 wins, technically 12 if you win out. But 11 feels like what the number should be if the Buccaneers do what they're supposed to do, which is win the winnable games. And they will be a good team at 11 wins and winning the division again, heading into the playoffs, and hopefully the Cavalry's here by then, and they'll be at closer to full strength and maybe do some damage in the playoffs at that point in time with some momentum. But if they don't do that, if they stub their toe in one or two of these games over the next 3 weeks, then they're not going to be a good team, right? If you lose to teams you're supposed to beat this late in the season, especially when you're a Buccaneer team that has been primed for this because you've had to win in November and December the last couple of years and early January to capture the division again and again, then you're not good. So we'll see. This team's going to tell us, Aileen.
Yeah, I think they've already told us. And you said it earlier, they're good, not great. And great teams would have won the last 3 games, and they're not. They're good. And I think that's why we're kind of, oh, man, I hope they beat the Cardinals. Maybe they'll lose one to the Panthers. They should beat the Saints. But at this point, they've kind of showed us, like, okay, maybe we should question those games. And not necessarily because maybe everything they're doing on the field, but also, like, the key pieces that they have aren't there. But that's just also a part of being, like, good or great, like having all of your starters or having half of them.
Here's how I know these past 3 weeks have really broken the show. Aileen is normally the perpetual optimist, and now that Aileen is agreeing with Scott and myself, our little pessimistic selves, I think that we're just ready to see another win from the Bucs, and hopefully we'll see that soon. We mentioned obviously.
Well, they could have lost against the Rams, but played way better. Different because they lost to them, and the way they lost to them is like, dude, what the hell is going on?
Yeah, and as we mentioned,
I think that's a good point because they had the Patriots within striking distance of beating them with 2 minutes left, right? They were close in that game. The offense played really well in Buffalo. The defense just didn't show up, right? But in LA, neither side of the ball showed
all
up.
Phases, every single phase, offense, defense, special teams. It was, I mean, I don't want to be rude because I also, like, I felt so bad. I think I was one of 3 of the Bucs media that were there. There was only 3 of us, and there was only 2 of us in the locker room. And it was like, oh my God, you could hear pin drop, dude. You could hear pin drop. It was like my heart hurt for them. Number one, because I'm a humanitarian, but also, like, I've played sports, not professionally, but at a high level. And it's like, oh my God, like they're people too. These guys aren't just athletes. Like, they're people, and you could tell. It was embarrassing. They were embarrassed. TV. Right. Levante said that. Everyone we talked to, Levante, who else? Graham. Cade Otten, bless his heart, my God.
Get some gloves, Cade. I love you, but
geez, I know. So it was really rough. But what was the point of this? It's like the fact that they lost really, really badly says a little bit about them, even though Baker left and they didn't have X, Y, and Z. Oh, Chris Godwin Jr. came back. Like, that's been overshadowed by all the other drama. And with him, not doing much, it's like, what are you going to do? What, he had 2 catches? Let me see. What was it? 2 catches for 9 yards, dude. Yeah. Now, I would assume they had him on like a snap count, just a little bit limited, but you thought he would have done more while he was in there. So
they need more of their injured, talent back on the field. As Scott alluded to, the Cavalry coming back. We're going to talk about why that might actually be the case. Even some surprise names might make it back onto the field before the end of the regular season when we get back here at Bucs Bonus. Welcome back into the Stream Center here at WFLA, your official Bucs station, here with Scott Reynolds and Aileen Hnatiuk. I'm Garrett Phillips. And we had just talked about the injuries that this team has faced and how, at least if you ask some fans, I think they're going to probably try and tell you that it's not really a good excuse for how the team has played these past 3 weeks. But if you are going to have a team that does anything in the playoffs, you need to get some of these guys back. And we're talking about Mike Evans. We're talking about Jalen McMillan, who has not played yet this season. Yeah. And even, there were reports that Kalijah Cansey might even be able to make his way back onto the field, despite what we thought was a season-ending injury. Scott, Aileen, I don't know if you guys have heard anything from One Buck Place about actually what is the likelihood that these types of guys can make their way back this season?
I think it's hopeful. It's not going to be early December, but probably late December, I think is what we're hearing. And these guys have got to make some progress physically, and they've got about 2 or 3 weeks to kind of do it to put themselves in position. Now, keep in mind, the way the NFL schedule and calendar work, you've got a couple games in January, so it's still possible for, whether it's Mike, whether it's Kalijah, whether it's Jalen McMillan, to possibly come back for that season finale, right, against Carolina. That they might need them. If they're not ready sooner, Aileen, at least you would have 1 or 2 or 3 of those guys maybe for that very important Panthers game where that might decide who wins the NFC and who's going to the playoffs or not. Then you win that game, and you've got those players for another week, at least, for the playoff game at home, right? And then you see what happens after that. So at least the fact there's a chance that Mike and Jalen and Kalijah Kancey come back. And I think before then we're going to see Ben Bredesen back, and we're going to see Hassan Reddick back. So, we're talking about starters here. We're talking about guys that are starters on this team that are out. So getting them back would be huge whenever it happens, whether it's late December or early January.
I would love to have him back, and I think everybody would, but I think we also have to remember, Bucs fans also have to remember, just because you have a starter back doesn't necessarily mean he's going to play like he was, right, when he started the season. So we just saw Chris Godwin Jr. I mean, we're 2 catches for 9 yards. What the heck? Yeah. Like, where were your 3 touchdowns, dude? We needed you. But again, like, he's coming back from injury. He hasn't played a game since, what was it, in September, right? Yeah. So even if Mike does come back, Kalijah, et cetera, it's like, well, Bucs fans, be patient, because you might not see the same player that you've been seeing, and that's just natural. Like, these guys get paid millions of dollars, but I think it's so funny we lose the human aspect of it. Like, dude just broke his collarbone, its body's not going to really be the same. Maybe it is better by the grace of God, who knows, but it just won't be the same as it was. But it still would be helpful having him back, clearly. I'm just saying, don't, Bucs fans, Garrett, don't get all pissed off when you don't see that man score 5 touchdowns in one game.
I think that's a great point. And Garrett, I mean, it's true. We're talking about real football, not Madden, where the players come back and all of a sudden they're at,
their ratings
scored
the same,
97 and, and all that. And even this week with Bucky Irving, I'm not expecting Bucky to come in and do anything spectacular. Right. I would still like to see Sean Tucker be the lead back. And maybe you give Bucky, 8 to 10 touches and see how he does. He still has a shoulder that's not fully healed. Right. He's well enough to come back and play now. So take what you can get. I'm with you, Aileen.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I can't judge anybody. If I had to be in a neck brace like Jalen McMillan had to, I'm calling out of work and I get to sit down all day. Like, I'm not going to judge any of these guys for how they play. This is bold.
I don't want to see him back this season.
Yeah,
I'm with you.
I don't want to see him back this season. I get it. It's great, and like maybe people agree, disagree. If I'm anybody related to him as in his family, his guardians, I'm like, your ass is on the sideline for the rest of the year. That's your neck, dude. That's your neck. It's really,
he needs
really
that additional 9 months in the offseason to heal, because listen, Mike Evans is a free agent. He might retire at the end of this year. We don't know. We don't know if Chris Godwin's ever going to make it back.
So make sure you're
going to need him for next year.
And you're going to need your neck to, every day in life.
Yep.
Sorry, Jalen, I'm playing big sister right now. You better relax over there.
I was going to say, somebody make sure that Aileen gets Jalen McMillan's mom's phone number.
I'm going to be on the field. I'm going to see him practicing. I'll be, what are you doing? Get back and sit down.
I will call your mother, young man.
I'm going to call you.
Sit down.
Put him in timeout. There you go.
Okay, well, look, we're still hoping that this Bucs season is not fully wasted, I guess is the best way to put it, right? You've got a game. We've got a big game coming up against Arizona. And even more important, I think, maybe than the win-loss column, that Arizona game is the Ring of Honor induction for one of, at least my favorite Buccaneers, one of the best, I think, to ever do it for this team, Simeon Rice, who helped, obviously, was one of those missing pieces on that defense to win a Super Bowl back in 2002. And I am interested to see if the defense is able to kind of fix itself and perform in a way that maybe honors a guy like Simeon Rice, because I got to tell you, especially in that 2010 to 2020 range when we had such bad defenses, anytime they put guys like Sapp, Lynch, Brooks in the Ring of Honor, we had to watch them play the games, and man, they were not great. So hopefully that changes for Simeon, and we actually see a good defensive performance. It'd be nice if a guy like Yaya Diaby maybe learned how to, get a couple of sacks and really bring home that feeling like Rice brought whenever we were, in those glory days, those early glory days of the Gruden era.
Yeah, and when you look at the last three games, again, they were going up against a division-leading Patriots team, a damn good Bills team up in Buffalo, hard to beat, right? And then the Rams, another division-leading team. But the game before all of those was the New Orleans Saints, right? The 2-win Saints. And they beat up on them, and the Bucs defense had their way and had a day. And I think that they're capable of doing that against lesser teams, and that's what we should expect on Sunday against the Cardinals, is that type of day where the Buccaneers beat, the Cardinals. I don't know if it's going to be 23-3 like it was in New Orleans, but that should be the expectation. This defense should play better against a lesser opponent. The Cardinals are just as banged up, if not more, than the Buccaneers. They have a backup quarterback. Their two starting running backs are out. Their starting wide receiver might be out as well. They're an injury-riddled team with 18 players in injured reserve. So the Bucs are, they're not going to get the Cardinals are not going to pity the Buccaneers at all for being injured, because they've dealt with that too. The Bucs have just handled those injuries better because they're a better rostered team, even banged up. They're at 6 wins, and the Cardinals are at 3. So no excuses, no explanations. Go out there and get the job done.
I think too the Bucs know that this is a winnable game, but they know it's also a losable game, and that they just lost the last 3, so they have no right to come in to Sunday and be like, oh yeah, we're better than them. Like, no,
exactly. It's not show up and win. Right?
No, and it's hard to win in the NFL regardless of who you're playing, whether it's the one in however many Saints, two win Saints right now, which sorry guys, I know I used to cover the Saints. If you're in New Orleans and listening to us, I still love you guys. But yeah, it doesn't matter who you're playing. They need to come out swinging, and I think for the defense, this is huge to make some big plays, some splash plays, some like really, really game-changing plays to get some confidence back, to build off of this game. I want to see like 2 interceptions, at least 2 sacks. It was just Yaya Diaby, your guy Garrett, who was the only guy that had a sack against the Rams. And again, I'm like looking, still Vita Vea, bro, where are you? Like, you mentioned this, Scott, in one of your podcasts, but you're like, there's no, yes, Levante David, but he's dwindling towards the end of his career, but there's no like, I don't want to say star, but there's
like
no
splash play.
There's like, where's,
there really isn't.
Right. And someone needs to do it. Like, hello, Antoine, Levante, like they're doing all that they can, but I think they need to go into Sunday and make some big plays, get their confidence back up, because this game is also all about momentum and confidence, and it's down here right now. Right. Yeah. So take advantage of this, losing bad Cardinals team, and really let's get back on track here.
I think that confidence that extends to the fan base. I think that you would ask any Bucs fan right now, and they're probably as down as they've been all season. And listen, the good news is, again, as we've mentioned, this is a winnable game, and this is a team that should be a little, ticked off about where they're at right now. So
and hopefully
they
all told me that in the locker room. They are.
Hopefully that translates to something on the field. We're going to take a quick break here, and then when we come back, we're going to give those predictions for how this game is going to go right after this. Welcome back here into the Stream Center, News Channel 8, your home for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Scott Reynolds, Aileen, Hnatiuk, I'm Garrett Phillips, here for your segment here in Bucs Bonus, where we're going to tell you why it's not all doom and gloom, because we've got a team that we think we can beat, which is, kind of news to my ears. It's music to my ears, if you will, as a Bucs fan these past 3 weeks. So let's talk about this game, and let's pick this game. Let's really pick this game. Scott, Aileen, listen. I almost don't want to take Tampa because I feel like I've become a bad luck charm at this point. But I would take the Bucs here. What are you guys thinking?
Yeah. I'd ladies first. Go ahead, Aileen.
Bucs win.
Yeah, I think Tampa Bay wins 26-23. I think it's going to be a closer game than people want. But listen, a win is a win at this point in time. I think a Buccaneer team closer to full strength can probably beat the Cardinals by double digits. But right now, I think Buccaneer fans would take a win by 1 point, right? That's all that matters. So I think it's going to be a close game. 26-23 kind of feels about right.
I need them to win this game now for Aileen more than anything else, because I don't like this subdued Aileen. This is,
Baby, I got off the plane like a few hours ago. I am tired.
She was like, Bucs win, move on.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, hopefully we get a little bit more excitement, not only from this game, but from the win column, and we're able to come next week with a bit more cheerful of an attitude. But of course, thank you as always, Scott from Pewter Report, joining us. Scott, tell us what you guys have got going on over there.
Yeah, check us out on pewterreport.com. We have all of the Bucs and Cardinals previews for you, and check out our video content on Pewter Report TV, our YouTube channel.
Scott, thank you again, as always. For Scott Reynolds, Aileen Hnatiuk, this has been an episode of Bucs Bonus that hopefully is the most down we will be for the rest of the year. We'll see you guys next week for hopefully your 7-5 Buccaneers.